were talking while we were having the break about the fact that you actually have completed 2 marathons. I understand one in New York and one in London.
Indeed.
Okay, how long ago was that, Alistair?
Oh, too long. It was the New York was before we had children, and London was when Annabelle was a couple of years old.
Talk me through those experiences. What were they
Oh,
like?
New York. When my wife and I ran New York, it was unbelievable. I cannot explain.
Your wife ran it as well?
My wife ran it as well. You start on Staten Island. We stayed in a B&B on Staten Island, and we started there. And it was phenomenal. You run across the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and then you run through all the neighbourhoods. And I love a bit of World War II history. So when you run past the Brooklyn Army Temple, I recognise that. And you run through all the neighbourhoods, which is just phenomenal. I mean, it's a phenomenal experience. And you run through. It was sponsored by a well-known Dutch bank at the time, which I don't think exists anymore. And as you run through all the neighbourhoods, they all give the runners stuff. I can always remember we ran past the bank stand and they gave me a bag of carrots, which when you're running a marathon, you're like, seriously? A bag of carrots? Maybe that's why they don't exist anymore. And the Spider-Man movie had just come out and you joined Manhattan by running over the Queensborough Bridge, which is where Spider-Man finished and had his last battle or whatever. And it's unbelievable. And of course, I ran with, well, not of course, but I ran with a cap with Al, my name written on it, and a Union Jack flag. So lots of Americans go, it's Al, he's a Brit. And you run past the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art, you finish coming past Central Park. Truly unbelievable experience.
And the fact you're absolutely huffing and puffing all the way around.
You are huffing and puffing. My only regret is probably I didn't go as quick as I could because I got sucked into the scenic sightseeing. Wow. This is, I can remember the start, you're running over the Verrazano Bridge and the fireboats are out with a big fire arc and you're like, wow, I'm part of history. This is amazing. But what an experience.
Did you train for it?
I did a lot of training for it. I didn't perhaps appreciate how cold it would be because it was in November and it was cold. But what an experience. What a truly magical.
Did you hit the wall as people talk?
I did. And the thing to do that is to carry on going through it. I hit it more in London, it has to be said. I think because in New York, I got a bit seduced by the sightseeing and the...
Talk me through hitting the wall for people who don't know and don't understand even what that means.
It was in London. You do the London Marathon, you come through the city of London. It was probably about mile 21, 22, and you go under a tunnel. So there was no crowds. You go under the tunnel. I don't know where the tunnel is, but it's through the city of London. There's no one around, and around you, people start walking, and people give up, and your body's there going, I can't go on anymore. I can't go on anymore. I can't go on anymore, and everything begins to ache. You begin to feel every step, every movement of your arm, every breath. And you really have to drag yourself through. And I can remember I managed to drag myself to probably, I could see Big Ben, so probably a couple of miles. So it's probably 24, 25, probably miles. And I can remember giving myself a stern talking to with some rather naughty words, shall we say, that I am going to finish this blankety blank thing. And you just pick yourself up and go through. But you have to train. It amazes me that people do that sort of thing and don't train. And don't want to push themselves to experience
so did you take that and actually that experience of the never give in, never give up?
Oh, big
time.
That. Big time, because I think the only stop and restrictor in what you can do is you.
Okay.
The only restrictor.
Did you ever hear yourself using that lesson to your kids when you were talking to them?
Yeah. You try. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because kids know best, especially teenagers. If teenagers ruled the world, would all be okay. But you can't tell people. You can just try to, educate them and say, "Oh, I wish I'd done this. I wish when I was your age I'd done this." Don't miss an opportunity, because I think the opportunities for young people these days are immense.
Do you remember, if I go back just for a moment, just to cast your mind back, big admiration and big respect to you for the fact that you've completed 2 marathons, because I know how hard that is, and I do understand how hard that is. If you go back and you look at you and education and schooling, can you pick out anybody who significantly influenced you as a person?
That's a really good question. It did any educators. There were a few. There were a couple of teachers, probably more at junior school,
Okay.
who I remember more.
Okay.
Um,
What do you remember them for?
Success, really. I can remember a guy called Mr. Ashford, and we'd always do sports and we'd go, come on, Gleave, come on, run a bit faster, run a bit, well done. And I have no idea. I couldn't remember whether I was good or bad or indifferent.
But you are tall, you've got long legs, and you could run fast.
And I could run fast, and it was, and that was incredible. And I could carry on. Maybe I wasn't the quickest over 100 metres, but I could carry on.
So when they started doing longer runs at school, you would actually be able to. When they started doing cross country, you could.
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
yeah. That wasn't an issue.
Okay.
As far as I was concerned, I was quite happy. I was quite happy with that.
Okay, but doing the training means getting out and slogging the streets.
And that's where the greyhound I mentioned earlier, the New York Marathon, she would come with me. And she, of course, dogs are so intelligent. We would run down the Exeter Canal, so I'd run into Exeter and then turn around and come back. And she was quite happy to run with me. But then, to start with, she'd run ahead. And she'd obviously be off the lead, so she'd been running alongside me and she'd be running ahead. And I'm thinking, why is she running ahead? And I can see that she'd run ahead, have a drink, or she'd find something to drink, and then just sit down. And so you'd run past her, think, what's going on? But of course, she was having a break.
Right.
So then she'd just gently trot, because she'd got 4 legs, she'd gently trot, overtake you, have a drink, lay down. You'd run past her. You think, that's genius. That is utter genius. But yes, train with
So
dogs.
what do you think your life lesson was you learnt from that teacher who was encouraging you?
Never give up.
Okay.
Never give up. And I think I've always tried to instill in my kids that the only limit on what you can do is you. The only restriction on what you can do is you. And I like to, count.
I mean, you know that I wrote a book called
Absolutely.
The Only Behaviour You Control
Absolutely.
Is Your Own.
Yes. Yes.
And you obviously lived that, or you learnt that very, very early on.
Well, it's important, isn't it?
Can you think of difficult decisions or situations that you've been in at work, particularly in a business kind of setting, where that has come in, where you've had to go, come on, Al, I need to do this in a different way?
I think I always try to retain a professionalism in whatever I do. So one of the things that currently really annoys me is hypocrisy.
Okay.
People say one thing and do another. So especially down in Devon, we get lots of Devon businesses go, I'm Devon, I'm really important in Devon. And yet they buy stuff from out of Devon, which I always find a bit of an anathema, really, because the supply for what you've bought is in Devon. So it's trying to manage that.
Okay.
Shall we say, which is always challenging. But life gives you challenges. I mean, we've already mentioned COVID. That's a challenge that nobody could have predicted. But of course, when your kids begin to get into later stages of education, they get challenged at school, and then they come back and challenge you with the challenges that they've got. My eldest did politics A level.
Wow.
And so she comes back and asks you all sorts of questions. You're thinking, where on earth have you got that from? And so you kind of have those dinner table conversations going, how do we answer? How do we challenge that back?
How do you learn a lesson out of that situation? Yeah.
You do learn the lesson, and yes, because of course kids have very little filter in the questions.
Okay, so Al is working in Exeter, and then you make a decision one day. What drove that decision one day to think, I'm going to do this on my own?
I wanted to work with small aspirational businesses that want to grow. That's where I get my kick from. I'd worked with 2 large agencies who you very much have to sell a portion of time, a portion of this, a portion of that, a portion of that, which is not how I want to work. I want to work with aspirational businesses who want to grow, that need help, support.
So you want your relationship with them to be much more intimate
and much
personal.
more intimate, much more personal, like with yourself, Martin, over the years, helping you where I can help. And if I can't help, getting a trusted advisor and who can help, and photography is the obvious one that we always come across. I work with umpteen photographers, a couple of really good ones who you can go, actually, I would suggest you don't take photos on your iPhone, even though it's a great camera. Let's get a professional in. And yeah, that's been my motivation.
So the appeal to you, or your vision inside your head and the spur that got you out of bed and said, I'm going to do this, was I want to work with a much smaller business and in a much more intimate relationship,
Absolutely.
and actually across a wider profile of things you were doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So if you look back, being in a big company or working with a big organisation, you're just doing a proportion of what is actually happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're just like I wanted to run where I am the coalface effectively, and I have people working with me and supporting me and providing me. I mean, to give you an example, many years ago, the first agency I worked with, we did a lot of work for Big Brother 2.
Okay.
So that's going back probably 28 years. And there were certain elements of it that went wrong. So who got the phone call? Me.
Okay.
But I didn't make it go wrong. And as it turned out, we hadn't done anything wrong. I would say when we investigated, it wasn't us that made the mistake. But I mean, you go back those number of years, that's when I had the most pointless waste of a day ever, because we needed some test credit card data. So we're based in Exeter. And I literally had to get the train from Exeter to London to go to Lloyds Bank headquarters to show my passport, to get a DVD of test credit card data to come back. that was my day, which was just remarkable when you think how data is transmitted these days.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
where did the association? I'm just trying to piece a bit together. I understand that because I think you've driven that by your personality, by your understanding and trying to make sense of the world and being clear about the fact you wanted to be the person who influenced what was going to happen in smaller organisation. So the intimacy of that relationship was what attracted you. What I don't get, and tell me where it started, where did the geeky kind of stuff come from about understanding about technology?
Do you think I'm geeky,
No,
Martin? I'm shuffling all awkwardly then.
I don't use geeky in an insulting way, but that world can be quite geeky, can't it?
It can be. I try to not get involved in all that, I have to be honest. I think technology is a great provider and a great supporter. For instance, my mother, who's 87, who's frail, we got her onto WhatsApp, so when my daughters go travelling, they can send her pictures. Absolutely legendary use of technology. Absolutely brilliant. When I first started my business sort of 12, 13 years ago, I worked with a care home, and by pure chance I was there that time, and they wanted a bit of training how to use a well-known shopping site.
Right.
And the owner of that care home then rang me up a few days before and said, "You're not going to believe what's happened, Alistair." What's happened? He said, "We normally have a postman comes with a handful of cards. This time they've turned up in a van with umpteen bags of parcels from that well-known shopping site."
Right.
Which is brilliant, which is absolutely brilliant. I think that's so fantastic.
I went to a meeting the other night, and I think also some people get it and some people just don't get it at all. They view technology as an invasion, and they are derisory, and they don't learn about it, and they don't learn how to use it. So I went to a meeting which is called Budley Connected, and what they were trying to do, they are looking to the future because one of the organisations who I've been working with are focused upon helping and supporting people who may be suffering from loneliness or isolation. And Budley Connected is going to be about how do we connect, how do we make services available, and how do we do that? And I'm kind of sat in a meeting listening to people talking about Budley Connected, and I can hear their comments, and I'm listening to them, and judgmentally I'm going, you don't really understand what this is all about. You just don't get it.
I think, I mean, you've mentioned AI earlier. I think we're on for significant changes in the high street. I think we're on significant changes how we support, how we provide, how we work with. I mean, it took a few years to get my mother to accept online food deliveries because she liked to choose. She liked to go and choose stuff.
And touch the stuff.
And well, actually, and now
but that's a male-female thing, isn't it?
But very much so. But now she gets it delivered, and the company that deliver it, a well-known delivery company, very pleased to see her, shake her hand, how are you, take the bags in for her. They go that little bit extra, and she loves that. And you kind of think that could be quite easily replicated.
I think it's quite interesting, actually. In a time of crisis, people sometimes make their biggest changes. And the crisis of COVID was what drove some people to realise that they could fundamentally change the way that they do things.
Absolutely. And that some companies have grasped that positively. And some companies have used that as an excuse,
Okay.
unfortunately. But if you look at sort of the high street in particular, I think there's an opportunity there to, why do I need to go into your shop? Why can't you provide something for me? Why do you know, paying to park, all that kind of stuff? The whole environment, I think, is just.
I think the way to get our societies connected is about understanding that we need to get to a model which gives people understanding and capability of being able to use that technology.
Absolutely.
I get criticised because of the amount of time that I spend, for example, on my phone.
Right. Okay.
It's easy, but it keeps me connected. It keeps
Yeah.
me vital. It keeps me about what I'm doing. So I wake up this morning. I can't tell you how it affects what you do. I wake up this morning with a WhatsApp message and a bunch of photographs from my son, who was sat at the airport, Los Angeles airport, about to fly back to Sydney, and he's just been in Vegas, and it sent a bunch of photographs.
Brilliant.
And a kind of summary. I can't tell you.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, that's what my daughters do to my mother, and she loves it. And it's fabulous, isn't it? You can be wherever you are in the world, and you can send pictures, or you can make video calls. Look where I am.
I've got an amazing situation, or I had an amazing situation last week where my son was in Vegas, but my granddaughter, who lives in Tasmania, has gone on a school trip to China. And she was in the middle of China, and she was sending pictures of the terracotta warriors and so forth because, you know, I just thought it's extraordinary. My granddaughter is in China and my son is in Vegas. And I'm here, but I'm still know what they're doing and I'm still connected.
Which is quite sad where in the little village you are, if we're talking about loneliness, because there doesn't need to be that.
No, it doesn't.
And
I think we need to make that big effort, just like we would make sure that people got their milk, that they got food and stuff like that. That getting connected is just as important.
Yes.
I think it's probably more important.
Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, I think money would be better invested in supporting people.
I agree. And I also think where people connected, and it is a model of the world or a model of society which doesn't exist everywhere, was like at the local pub or through social. You know, they used to go into the post office or they would go into the library and they'd meet people and they'd have that exchange. We're living now in an era where people are closing those libraries and closing those social contacts.
Well, a guy that lives on our road who's in his 90s knocked on my door because he'd got a problem with one of his chairs. And before they'd send anyone out, they wanted a picture of the chair. Well, he didn't know how to send a picture. So I helped him send a picture. And you're thinking, actually, you knew that individual was in his 90s. You're not going to... What's the method around that? Or what's the help for that? But instead, somebody sat in the office going, nope, need a picture. And when I saw his chair, I was like, yeah, that's clearly damaged. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's a strange, yes.
But we're in that transition. We know about it and we talk about it. So you spend time with companies and you set up on your own, being fundamentally a consultant to begin with and helping and supporting them.
Yes, and we've since moved on to actually carrying out a lot of the work. So I work with a number of trusted advisors. I also run a business networking group. I'm sure we're going to come on to that.
Sure, we will.
As well. But it's important, I think, and in those sort of 12, 13, 14 years, see how the market has changed, how the environment has changed significantly, to what we do, to how we work, to what we provide, and how we make things work better. You know, we went through a stage of companies going, oh, Google ads, I spend a fortune on it, never works. But there'd be a restaurant in Torquay and they'd be targeting the whole of the UK, for instance. Like, well, if I'm sat in Edinburgh, I'm not going to go and want for a meal. Well, why did I do that then? So managing that and managing those expectations. I always say I'm very honest. I'm potentially too honest sometimes. But I think you've got to be quite clear and upfront with people as to how things work and how things. Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, we assume, don't we, that people do know and do understand, but they don't.
No. And of course, you get people go, oh, I can do that myself. Okay. Off you go then.
Okay.
I like to think I've got a wealth of experience, and that shows I'm now a school governor as well. That's only happened in the last sort of 6 months or so, but I want to bring that experience into how things can work better, and how we
Are they technologically well connected?
they are, but it's about understanding how those connections work better, seeing not things as barriers, but seeing things as opportunities. And that's what AI in education, of course, we could
I
spend.
think what's quite interesting, actually, and I've been talking to a number of different people since I started producing these and so forth, and I've realised a couple of things that have come up consistently have been collaboration, understanding how to collaborate, and the other thing that's come up is people having mentors or helpers or supporters. In fact, I've had somebody sat where you are now talking to me and telling me that when they were at school in the sixth form, across the road from them, just by mere coincidence, lived a man who had done all sorts of stuff, and he would give credit to what he chose eventually to become his career as a result of the mentoring and advice that he gave him.
But I could tell you a really interesting story that when I was young, probably late teens, Lord King was the chairman of British Airways.
Yeah.
So my mother, the little village that he lived was near us. My mother said, "We're going to go to the garden party." And I thought, right, I'm going to go and talk to him. And he was very personable. I shook his hand. I said, "I'm at college. I'm at blah 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 blah. Great to see you." Whatever. Now the college at the time, the lecturers were, I think they were going through strikes or something. It was all whatever. But he came in to do a talk. So there's a load of students like there, hundreds of them. And he walks in and goes, "Hello, Alistair."
He could remember your name.
He could remember my name. And of course, all in the lecturers went, "How do you know him?" But I've tried to carry that forward, to treat people as equals, to be personable, to be welcoming, to be...
Difficult there is in a world where there's so much judgment, consistently
Absolutely.
judgment. Difficult not to fall into that trap. Two things. One is to judge and the other one is to assume.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, going back, we've mentioned when I went to number 11 Downing Street, George Osborne told a story about his mum and dad ran a sandwich shop, I think it was, and he would go out and deliver the sandwiches.
Right.
And they owned apparently this sandwich bakery type thing where my grandparents used to live. And the moment he said it, I thought, yeah, right, I don't believe that. But then he rolled off all the little towns and the villages and thought, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So actually, yeah, great experience.
Okay. So you set out kind of going, you're on your own, right? And it now relies upon you to actually access and create a network of now opportunities or looking for opportunities all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's taking me back, but actually, and then working with people who are trusted. And I think I use that quite importantly, but who can support and who can work with. So you can see a customer and go, actually, you need to do this, or we consider this, and then taking that and putting that together in a company.
Okay, take me back. Where was that magic moment when Al suddenly went, "Oh, okay, I'm going to create a business network"? Where did that come from, and how did you do it?
That came probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I went to various business networking events. And you would go to one and somebody would go, "Right, you now have to join, it's £1,000. You'd be like, "What the heck? If you're a small aspirational business, I'm not going to give you £1,000. And I thought, surely there must be a way to do this. And I started, it was called the Glorious 12th, simply because we met on the 12th day and there were 12 of us, which was brilliant. Got our social media all set up. And then a few years in, we got spammed by a bunch of Americans going, "You're killing the birds." And I replied with "No, we're not. We're Business Network Group. It's just a cover," was the reply. And I was like, yeah, okay, we need to rebrand. So we rebranded as G12. And we run a business networking group. And you've been to some as well, Martin. It gets about 30 odd businesses together in South Devon. And we also meet in Cornwall in Saltash.
So what's the deal with that? How does that work if I was part of that?
I want to get people connected. So it's connected over a good breakfast. We meet at 9:30. A lot of research went into the best times, and sure, people meet, at 8 o'clock and whatever. But people need to get up, get ready, and that's the best time for us. 9:30, coffee, connecting. I was really keen to get people connected because I noticed quite early on, cliques will form. So you need to go in and break those up quite not physically, that sounds wrong actually, but you need to, Martin, it'd be a good opportunity. Why don't you speak to John? And Sarah, why don't you speak to Fred? And that kind of stuff. Good food. I think a good breakfast is important. And we have speakers. People have a one-to-one with whoever they choose, and I try to get people connected. I've got quite a good system working now that wants to get business people connected to other business people.
Is that rewarding for you?
Absolutely. I love it. It's so great when you see people all sat down talking. I think it's fabulous. And we've got a very social media page and stuff where you can see those people conversing and wanting to be part of something. I think, I really get off on that.
Okay. So you really enjoy it, and actually engaging and corralling these people and involving them is really incredibly rewarding. Those associations, I did a podcast with someone, and actually I met them. I remember your introduction was to say, who should be a part of being a podcast? And you instantly said, oh, you ought to get so-and-so and whatever. And I got so-and-so to do that. And she was amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I think you can very clearly see the networking groups. We've formed a more defined referral element of it, which is one member per sector. What I call the big breakfast networking, I don't really mind if 2 or 3 people come from the same sector. It's about making those connections. And I do try and manage that. One time, I must just say, it did go wrong, and we had, I think, 9 or 10 solicitors in the room, which is the one occasion it went wrong, and that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So I put my hat on going, no, Alistair, you made a mistake there. In future, you need to manage that.
You need to get diversified
a bit better, yeah. But I think it's really good to get people together. And as I've said earlier, I do get phone calls from people going, "I'd love to come along, but I'm a little bit nervous." So I reassure them, and when they come in, I've already got a few trusted people in the group going, "When so and so turns up, this person is. Can you look after them?"
What do you think they're nervous of?
Meeting people, speaking, and. Pushing their business, pushing
I've got to
themselves.
tell you, in my life, and I don't think people really understand it, in my life, since I've earned my life by being a very expensive rent-a-mouth, which is what I've ostensibly done for quite a number of years, I've discovered that quite a lot of people in quite senior positions are very poor and very, very nervous at presenting.
Yes. Yeah, which always makes me chuckle, especially when I ask for speakers and stuff. People, oh yeah, I don't know about that. But I think, I try to give prizes as well, because I try to have a bit of fun in it. So the best 60 seconds, or the best, we had a summer event where the best summer dressed and all that kind of stuff. Because I think it's important to have a little bit of fun as well, and to leave with something, if you can, be it a bottle of wine, a golf umbrella, a box of chocolates, or something.
But I think stood up in front of a group of people and speaking in a public situation is the most scary thing that you can imagine for a lot of people. And actually being in their shoes is very difficult. You do it all the time,
yes,
but you've learned how to do it.
But it's also about supporting people who are clearly nervous. I can also remember I did a talk once. This is going back a few years. This is the first agency we worked with, a big auditorium. And it was all about the internet and whatever. And just as I'm about to walk in, the tech guy turned to me and went, "Internet's down, PowerPoint's not working. Off you go." Thanks, mate. Thank you. So we actually had the talk about football sponsorship. Who thinks it's a good plan? Who thinks it's bad? And nobody knew any of the worst. And I think that's taught me to be alive and think on my feet. And also, I think you bring that into networking, that there's some people that will just come in and sit down. Well, you're not going to converse if you sat down. You need to be stood up. You need to be engaged. We need to be moving people around and kind of, I say breaking up cliques, but making sure different people talk to different people.
So what do you think you've learned about people from those events?
Oh, that there's everybody's different. They have a different motivation for coming. We still get some people who have to go because the company tells them to go, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but let's try and get more out of it than that. And that there are some people, networking is about building relationships. If I met you the first time, I'm not going to sell to you on the first occasion, but you might know somebody, and so on and so forth. It's about building that. But you need to come 2, 3, 4 times to build it. Oh, how are you? Haven't seen you for. I've spoke to that person about, and that's how networking works. So I still get occasionally, I think I mentioned earlier, people that come without your business cards. So what are you going to leave that person with? Because a week later, I'm going to go, I met this guy at a networking event. Who was he again? what was his? I can't remember. A flyer, a card, or something. And also, I have had occasionally people go, "Oh, it didn't work for me." Well, why didn't it work for you? How many times have you been? Once. Well, nobody bought what I was selling. Well, that's not what networking's about. Networking's about building those relationships.
It's about opportunities.
Absolutely, and knowing where those opportunities are. And that's why I formed a more defined, what I call select referral groups. And it's one member per sector that we get to drill down deeper into who you are, what you're about, how to understand you, how can I refer you, what do you offer, why would this so and so like you, why would so and so like you in men.
Do you constantly go in your brain thinking, how can I improve this? What can I do?
Yes.
So you're looking for continuous improvement.
Yeah, which is a little bit disappointing. We were on holiday this year, and the guy that was running a boat tour, I was like, well, how do you book the boat tour? He said, you come and see me in the restaurant. We were in a foreign island. I went, but what happens if I'm in a hotel? And he goes, well, you come and see me in the restaurant. What happens if the weather's bad? Oh, I'll tell you, when you come to the restaurant, you can't come. And I'm thinking, what? That's a weird, you could so improve that. Which my wife is there kicking me going, Alistair, you're on holiday? But that's, yeah.
I think actually one of the things that frustrates me is that I will be looking at an opportunity or something or other, and two things. First of all, I can't see their phone number.
Yes.
And the second thing is I can't see the postcode. So if I want to go there, I can't do two things. I can't access them by phone, and I can't find their postcode easily.
Yes.
Like my name is Martin Humphreys, and what else?
Oh, you don't get it as much now, but on your company's Google business listing, so if you use Google to drive, it would take you to like a house, and you'd be like, well, where's the business? And they just haven't updated the listing. You don't get that as much now, I must say, but that used to be quite common 5-6 years ago.
I remember younger, this is the younger me, when I'm actually driving around the place. I remember going to a particular client and driving into this place and going round and round and round 2 or 3 times trying to find it, because we didn't have sat-nav. I didn't have sat-nav. I didn't have that capability. And I'm looking at all the streets and slowing down thinking, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at all.
Yeah. And well, of course, yeah. I mean, there's a really well-known business whose Google map listing used to be a house. And you would go to the business and they go, oh, yeah, we need to change that. You're like, well, what does that say about you? What does that say about your business?
I always remember actually being sat down, and I was actually in Asia, and a guy turned around to me, said he remembers a Chinese company came up and everything they made, they stamped made in USA.
USA?
United States of America. Right, so they stamped made in USA on the bottom of everything that they made. And I thought, to begin with, I thought, oh, that's pretty criminal, but it was actually very, very clever.
Yes.
And devious in some ways. I mean, it's almost like we've all had, and I read the stories about people who bought, like a piece of furniture or whatever out of a photograph of something they've seen online. The furniture arrives and it's a miniature of whatever it was that they wanted. They wanted a settee, and this little tiny settee arrives, which is actually just like a miniature one out of a doll's house.
Yeah. But I mean, that's going back to business networking, I think I'm aware that people come with different motivations every time, and different responsibilities as well. So I enjoy managing that. Okay.
What's their communication like to you in terms of communicating their wants and needs? Are they giving you feedback or not?
As always, some people do give feedback and some people just don't. And that's life. I accept that. But yeah, it's generally really positive.
I think what's irritating me, it's become a sense of paranoia now amongst organisations. They do one thing for you, and I've got a review almost instantly.
Absolutely. I mean, we do have a guy that comes that judges the whole event on the quality of the sausages. That always makes me laugh. But you generally get feedback on the food or the coffee. And we had one event, I think it was a couple of months ago. I thought the coffee was on point, really good, and the guy complained about the coffee. And I was there thinking, where do I go with this? Because I really, really like that. I thought that was probably the best coffee. And of course, you've been to the venue where I think we have one of the, if not the best breakfast. but yeah, I think if you give people an opportunity to feedback, they'll always find a reason. So I'm quite careful and circumspect how we take feedback. But then feedback is really important.
I think the important thing, actually, which is, I want to break one thing with feedback. People say I can't give it 10 out of 10. I never give anything a 10. I never give it 5 stars. I never, ever rate it as the best that I've actually got. They don't actually write capable feedback which could be published.
Well, our networking group has got everyone's a 5-star review, and we've got 90, 100, something like that. So we must be doing something right.
So how are you breaking into new markets, Al?
Well, for 2026, I've got a number of things planned. I always joke with people, I do the breakfast sampling first. So, not wishing to mention, but my health, perhaps a number of breakfasts you have. Hospitality is in a difficult place at the moment. Certain businesses just won't open for you at that time. Certain do, some don't. But it's about trying to find a good venue with a good opportunity. And I'm looking at new markets for 2026 to develop, to carry that across. Because I think we've got a good format, we've got a good group of people, a good quorum of people.
How much collaboration do you get from your network group?
Loads.
Do you?
Absolutely loads. I think we've got a good quorum of people, and outside of that, if you draw a circle, the core in the middle, outside of the people that occasionally contribute, and outside of the people that perhaps want to and can move into more.
So you have the movers and shakers in the middle.
Absolutely. My job is to grow that movers and shakers.
And some people on the outside.
Yes. My job is to grow that movers and shakers, because we all benefit then.
It's investing time, and it's investing energy, and it's investing communication.
Yes. And I've learned that location is quite important, because the location's got to be a good, we're in Devon, aren't we? The number of times I found seaside locations and I've gone and there's been an amazing view and you'd be like, oh, this is fabulous. Then we have an event there and it's misty. And I'm there going, if it wasn't misty, you would have seen the great view here. But yeah,
that's why I love this as a venue, because the postcode works so well. And you come off the motorway, you come down, everybody's going into Exeter, so you can get off and you can just drive down the road. And apart from missing the turning at the end, it's relatively easy to find. Having said that, you probably missed it completely.
Well, no, I found it, but I'm driving down the road. I'm thinking, am I in the right place? But I saw your car, Martin, so I knew I was in the right place. But I mean, going back to networking, that's what I do, connecting people. I love it, making connections and getting people together going, actually, if you want X, you might want to talk to Y.
Okay. I think we can talk about the here and now. I think we need to branch out into looking about the future and what the future may become, and getting connected, because I think the connected story goes further than that. I think we need to get connected as a society, and we need to get much better connected. It spans some of the lessons that you've learned and some of the things that you've done, I think, could transfer into all sorts of situations.
And that's why I became a school governor, because I'm exploring whether that does.
Okay. On that note, let's take a break and come back and then talk about the here and now a bit more, and then possibly about the future, about the threats, and about recognising the things that may go incredibly well, but the things that may create disruption, because I don't think we plan for disruption like we should.
You're not foreseeing another COVID, are you?
No, I'm not foreseeing another COVID. I just foresee that at the moment, I think the way things are moving in the world, I mean, I can sit here and say to you, who would have thought, if you look back a year ago, and it's only like about a year, when Trump got elected and the change that's taken place, the whole world of the relationships around the world and what's actually going on, it moves at such a pace that almost people can't keep up with it. I can't. I have more time and a capability. The speed of that change is utterly phenomenal.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I think confidence is something that's sadly lacking in our economy at the moment in time. And if I know we've got a budget due at the end of next month, is it? I think confidence is the most important thing. Forget all the fiscal bits, have confidence.
Yeah. Because
the government needs to realise they don't have any business people in there, do they, that I'm aware of, but they need to realise that confidence filters down.
Well, on that lovely note, let's come back and explore a bit more around confidence.
Absolutely. Thank
Good.
you.
Well done.